So Ivy, we're here in your kitchen. What are we going to make today?
We are going to make a classic Taiwanese chicken soup, bread bone chicken, and bamboo shoot.
You have this famous black chicken.
Yes, bread bone chicken is famous in Taiwan. It's in our special diet. So we are going to poach in the water, and then we cook with shiitake and the bamboo shoot.
Okay. So we'll get it started there. And I see it's all dark meat.
Yes, it's very dark, and the nutrition is special, good, better than the other regular free-range chicken. Today, I'm going to show you a special, different ingredients. Here we have shiitake, dry mushroom, and we soak in water until soften, and we got bamboo pith. This is kind of mushroom. This is what it looks like, dry form. And then we have to soak in water about 10 minutes, and then just remove some hot parts, and then we can chop it and cook it. So actually this is very special, that in special ingredients in Taiwanese cooking.
It almost looks like what we see as a morel, which would be darker, but the same look, but so much lighter and color. And then you were telling me that this little ring that you pull that off, because this is tough, yeah?
Yeah, that's tough. And the bottom side also has another ring. Yeah. If you look for the internet, you will find that this mushroom is really beautiful. It's like a ballerina wearing the ballet skirts, dancing there. It's really beautiful. And we are going to add a little bit old ginger and bamboo shoot. This is the best one in Taiwan. Summer bamboo shoot tastes very sweet, and we normally cook this in soup, stir fry, or salad, making salad. So now, would you help me?
Sure.
Would you help me to peel the bamboo shoot?
Okay. So you just want me to go underneath here?
Yeah, underneath, all through the way, all the way down to the tips, deeper, until you touch the. Okay, and then you twist with your bread. You twist it from your cooking side.
Like that?
All right.
How's that? Am I doing okay or no?
No. So
all right, I think you're going to have to show me, yes?
Yes. So, okay. So actually just
I got to go deeper in.
Deeper, and then you twist.
So you really go down it. You're taking a lot off.
All there in one go. So that's easy. And
that's right.
You see, they have some furry parts, so you have to trim off the furry parts. So what we do is like a Japanese daikon, that move this way, and you just trim off the little part.
Okay.
All right.
Sure, I can do that one, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So you know I'm used to using a regular French knife.
I know. I use this even for French cooking. I use a Chinese.
Yes, you know, I think once you get used to it, though, you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Not
trim enough or more? Up here too?
Any part you touch, you feel very furry, then that's the furry part we need to trim off.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
I like to use seasonal ingredients. This is really
this is beautiful.
Creature. Yeah. Yes. All right. So
well, it's
now,
probably easier going this way. Yes?
Yes. Oh, okay. And that's the tender parts.
Yeah, and I don't want to lose that. Right? I lost a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
We keep that over there. And you started the chicken in cold water, correct?
Yes.
And now it's almost coming up to a simmer and...
Yeah, I know it sounds very, very weird for French cooking, but Chinese do this. We poach meat in the from cold water until the bubble and froth, and we remove that and rinse off. And then we add this in the hot water to cook our meat, like a chicken, pork, even beef.
Beef to do the same thing.
Yes.
Well, French do the same thing, but they don't get rid of the liquid. They skim it off and
I know
it's all
that's flavor.
Yeah?
Right? But somehow, you know, this also tastes very flavorful. And you don't need to skim off all the way, right? When you bring meat to boil, you have to skim off all the froth from top and takes time. But then we don't smell that because you already rinse it off.
Off.
Yeah. All right. So this is ready. I'm going to rinse it off.
Okay.
All right. So this is the soup pot. We are going to bring water to boil and add the rinsed chicken into the broth. And then we add everything.
All right, so how do you want this cut up?
Okay, we cut in half and then...
Half this way or half?
Half.
This way?
Yeah. Okay, and then, yes, slice in half again. Yes, okay, yeah, and this way.
And just along here?
Yeah,
just...
yeah, no, thicker, like half...
like
yeah,
this?
Yeah, yes, yes, yeah, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's big pieces like this, yeah? That's it?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, this big piece. We don't cook small ingredients. It's all big chunk.
Okay. So do you want this one cut or no? That's it.
Same. Okay. So and in half, wrong way. Yes. Yes. Again.
So there's no, I mean, this one, there's no exact cut. It's just a rough cut.
Yeah, just rough.
Okay.
And then we will remove the stem and cut in half. Yes. Remove the stem and cut in half. So keep it a similar size.
Okay. So you just want to keep it like that? That's good.
Yeah, just half.
And the mushroom, the same size pieces?
Yes.
So we have that. Mm-hmm. We have that.
Yeah, and mushroom.
And then we took off the...
Yeah. So, yeah, just squeeze all water, about 3-4 pieces.
Okay. And just maybe
like
that?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
1 inch, yes, good.
Your mushroom.
Yes.
Make sure they're clean on the end.
Okay, I think that's...
Do one more, or is that enough?
That's enough, yes.
Okay.
All right.
And the ginger, yeah?
Yes.
So the ginger, I know, is very small.
Yeah.
So you said it's organic.
Yeah, this is organic.
And you use it with the peel on.
Yeah, we always use peel on.
And you're just going to...
Smash it, so they release flavor easier. Yeah, good. That's enough.
That's enough?
Yeah.
I wanted to hit it again.
I will give you more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's boiling, so.
Yeah, yes. Now we can, would you help me just for all the chicken in the soup? Thank you. And we add all the ingredients.
Goes in now, already?
Goes there.
Okay. So I put the ginger in.
Yes. And splash of rice wine.
Okay.
And then we can cover the lid and just leave it.
And you say a splash.
Yes.
More than that.
More.
That's more than...
Generous splash.
More?
Good. Enough.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so we will cover it. And then just wait, bring to another boil and simmering.
Simmer for... Just until the chicken's really tender.
Yeah, until chicken is tender and the mushroom is ready and bamboo shoot is soft. So about roughly 20-25 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
So our soup has been cooking for a while, so I think it's done, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Or almost done. We gotta...
We need to try it,
okay.
right? Okay.
Wow.
Look at it. I
smell
smell
beautiful
everything.
smell
I smell everything. Yeah.
So the bamboo shoots should be tender now.
Yes.
Chicken's all the way cooked.
Yes.
And so we want to taste a little bit and see. It's nice, but it needs some salt.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Some salt and some pepper, but it tastes
nature.
beautiful.
Okay.
Okay.
I would say it's full of nature, all the flavor from nature, from
I might have to
mountain.
go a little more, but we'll see. Now, how much pepper? Because you guys,
yeah, not much.
Not much.
Yeah, not much. Okay.
Good.
Good.
I've watched the white pepper go in things, and it seems like they use pretty heavy hand with the white pepper, but you don't taste it, so.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna give you. You're gonna be the.
Thank you. Yes, flavor from the mountain, like a very fresh air in the morning when you walk in the mountain. You smell that. I think that's the mushroom flavor, shiitake and the bamboo pith.
I would do a little bit more.
All right.
What do you think? You tell me.
You say so.
No, you're the expert. You think it's good? I mean, I get the thing.
Okay,
I just do a tiny.
Yeah.
But you think it's good there?
It's good for Taiwanese, I would say. I'm very used to for international people, but I would say this is good for Taiwanese, and maybe a little bit dash for American.
And they can do that on the side too.
Yes,
so.
yes, we will serve salt on side.
So again, something different that you see with soups. The pieces are always much larger, so it is more of a meal rather than in French cuisine it's a course or.
Yes, yes. And also, it's funny, very interesting, we don't serve soup in beginning, in the first course. We serve soup always in the end.
It just smells lovely and looks lovely, nice and clear and just fantastic. Well, it smells so good.
Yeah, I'm sure you will love this.
I know I will.
Here's black bone chicken and bamboo shoot soup.